There's water right by your chair as well.
Okay.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us for our head coach press conference for the college football playoff quarterfinal at the Rose Bowl game presented by Prudential. My name is Karen Linhart. I'm the Rose Bowl game marketing and media director, and I'm joined today by Oregon head coach Dan Lanning and Ohio State head coach Ryan Day. I'm going to open up the floor for questions after we hear an opening statement from each coach. I'll start with Coach Lanning.
Yeah, thrilled to be here today. It's exciting part of football season. I think this is always one of my favorite parts of the year. We get to watch, some historic teams get the opportunity to battle out there on the field. I know our players have really enjoyed every bit of the experience. We're grateful for the Rose Bowl and the service they've provided for our team. This is certainly a little bit different landscape this year because of how bowl games are set up, but the Rose Bowl has been first class in every way. Growing up as a kid, you remember getting to be a part of games like this. So this is one we're really thrilled to compete in. Obviously, Ohio State's a great team, so this will be a fun challenge for our guys.
Thank you, Coach. Coach Day.
Yeah, I echo what Dan said. First off, I want to thank everybody with the Rose Bowl committee, and they do an unbelievable job here. It's one of the greatest settings there is in college football, and we're excited to be here, for a lot of reasons. And, the third time that I've had an opportunity to be here, and it is a beautiful setting, and we have a great opponent here, and got a lot of respect for Oregon and how Dan runs his program and his players and his team. So very unique situation in that we're both now in the Big Ten, but when you look back on the history of the Big Ten and the Pac-12 and the matchups that have been before, I think it makes it even more special, this game. So excited about that. It also, for us, having Archie Griffin and the statue built here and also at Ohio Stadium, just a lot of history here at Ohio State in terms of playing in this Rose Bowl. So excited for the game, excited for our fans to get here and, get into LA and obviously enjoy the game. So we've had a great week of preparation, like Dan said, different preparation. It's not really a bowl game, quote unquote, with events. It's more about a playoff game, and so excited about the opportunity to play.
Thank you, Coach. We're now going to open up the floor for questions. We have 2 mic runners on both sides. Please raise your hands. When you ask a question, please state your name and your media outlet. We'll start with a question here on the left-hand side.
Joe Nugent, WCMH Columbus. Question for both of you. Start with Ryan. I'm wondering how this is different preparing for a Rose Bowl where you have 2 teams that could win it all, yet knowing that you still have 2 more to go.
Yeah, it's a different experience. It's more of a, it's like being in a routine of a game week. And, usually when you prepare for a bowl, there's a whole month of preparation. This is more of a routine. So I think we've all seen this coming and so prepared for what these are going to look like in terms of the preparation. But it's been good for our guys. There's no classes right now, so they've been able to really just focus on football, getting out here, getting acclimated and getting to work. But I just think the biggest thing is it's more like being on a road game during the week, just a longer season.
Yeah, very similar thought process for us. You can't worry about the next game until you take care of business in this game. And for us, that's the way our teams approached it. Obviously, when you play a team like Ohio State, you have to bring your best. So I don't think you can look too far down the road. You have to focus on right now. But it's been, you wait till you get about 7 days out and you try to set it up very similar to what a week would look like for a normal week preparation during the season.
Take a question. Please raise your hand if you have one. We'll go in the front right there. Black hat.
Ryan Clark with the Oregonian. For both of you, what do you respect most about the way the other person runs their football program?
Yeah, I'll start. I think, first off, Dan does a great job in terms of recruiting. Recruits very talented young men with a lot of high character. They're very well coached, and they play very, very hard. And you can see that when you put the film on. And because, when you watch people and you see different programs, at the end of the day, you still got to watch the film and see how guys are played. In all three phases, they're well prepared and they play really hard.
Yeah, I can share that sentiment. Obviously, a really talented team, and that's kudos to the work that they do in the off season and during the season. Recruiting is something you got to do every single day. I think both of our programs do that at a high level. You can see that with Coach Day and the people that they bring into their program. More than that, like you said, when you turn on the film, you try to find weaknesses in an opponent. It's really hard to find weaknesses in Ohio State in all three phases. The way they play on special teams, the effort, the guys they utilize. Right, a lot of places you'll watch and you'll see certain plays that they don't have their best players on the field. Ohio State has their best players on the field consistently. They play hard for each other, and it shows up.
Please raise your hand if you have a question. We'll have one right in the middle. The mic's coming over.
Yeah, for each of you, how important is it? Do y'all see the importance of your quarterback sort of having visualization sessions, for one of another term, for games of this magnitude to anticipate what's coming, et cetera?
Yeah, we always talk about playing the game as many times as you can before you play the game. I think that's really important, regardless of the setting, whether that's the meeting room, a walkthrough, sitting in your hotel room at night, right? How many times can you play the game before you play the game? Trying to picture what the opponent might do. And I think if you do that, that gives you the best opportunity to be successful, really on game day, when you can visualize, a lot of those different experiences that are going to show up in a game, on game day. And if you can do that in advance, that gives you a great opportunity to be able to adapt and adjust when the game comes.
Agreed. I think for the quarterback position, it's probably the most important, but it's important for all positions. And I think when you get to this point of the year, when you watch how NFL teams prepare late in the season, into December, you notice that, there's a lot of that going on, whether it's walkthroughs, meetings, you have to visualize things. You can't always do everything, the same way you did in August or September. And so you have to fall back on your experiences, but then you also have to anticipate what's coming next. And that's a big part of this time of year, and having the discipline to put that work in when, you're multiple months into the season. And I think, typically that's the team that's going to outlast their opponents is, continually doing what you just said, is visualizing things and doing the mental work so that when you get into the game, you can fall back on your training.
If you have any additional questions, please raise your hand if you would like to ask a question. Go in the back right.
James Creppy with the Oregonian. For both of you, with the commissioners meeting to discuss a possible format change as soon as next season, in part because of seeding like in this matchup this early in the quarters, what are your perspectives on what the seeding changing should be, if the conference champions should continue to get first round buys or if it should be more truly seeded like they're discussing?
Go ahead, Dan.
Furthest thing from my mind right now, right? I'm worried about right now. So I think college football is going to continue to see change. I think our job as coaches is to continue to adapt. Ultimately, like, what an awesome game this is, right? What an opportunity this is. But I'm sure the people that need to be able to assess that will assess it. But that's not my concern right now at this point in the season. Our concern is Ohio State.
Yeah, same here. Focus is on this Rose Bowl and this game, but I know we're all learning. Everybody's learning as we're going through this new format, and I'm sure after the season there'll be time to discuss those things.
We have a question on the left-hand side over here. No, we don't have it over there. We have one right in the middle. Sorry about that.
Austin Kroom, Scarlet and Gray Sports Radio. You guys played each other week 7, one of the matchups that a lot of the country saw as a potential national championship rematch. Now, months later down the line, 2 different teams, 2 different identities. How do you both stay the same with your game plan and not focus on what the media is talking about?
Well, first off, I think that, Oregon certainly, in that game played a tremendous game and has continued to get better as the season's gone on. But I think both teams are just in a different place than we were midway through the season. And, it's going to come down to the play on the field. And, there's a balance there of the things that, your team has, built their foundation on, but also having change-ups and mix-ups. And it's about matchups. And we know that. It's about matchups on our end. It's about matchups on their end. And then, understanding that in all 3 phases, it all has to work together. So, You see this in the NFL playoffs a lot, where teams will play each other again later on in the season. This is an example of that. So you're going to see it more and more as we move forward, and it's just going to become part of college football.
Yeah, ultimately, I feel like great teams have tendencies. You're supposed to, right? There's things that Ohio State does really well that I'm sure that they'll work to do in this game, and there's things that Oregon does really well that we're going to try to do in this game as well. So it's a little bit of the double-edged sword of how much do you want to change going into a next game. But I'll say this: every time you turn on Ohio State's film, you do see new wrinkles. You see Coach Day and his staff coming up with new things that make it a challenge to prepare for. And I think we challenge our coaches here to do the same thing. So, like you said, we're different teams at this point. At Oregon, we talk about trying to be the best version of ourselves towards the end of the season. That's when you have to play your best ball, and we'll certainly need to be able to play our best ball. And I expect the same from them at the end of the season here.
Our next question will come from Dennis Dodd over on the right-hand side.
Dennis Dodd, CBS Sports, for both coaches. 5 Florida State basketball players sued their head coach for unkept NIL promises. Your 2 programs at the apex of that. Short of, I guess, congressional intervention or collective bargaining, what is the future of that right now for both coaches?
He wants me to answer this one first. I want him to answer this one first. I'll just say this again, furthest thing from my mind right now. Growing up in the Midwest, you have to be a man of your word. What you say is what you have to do. I think that's something we believe in here at Oregon. I don't think there's a lot of clarity in college football right now. I think everybody realizes that, and I think we'd all be in favor of having some clarity. But you also want to compete to be the best. So each school is different in how they operate. I know at Oregon, we're about integrity, and what we say is what we do. But I can't speak to that situation because I don't know enough about it.
Yeah, hard right now, a day out of this game, to be really even commenting on something like that. I appreciate the question. Our focus is on this game right now. That being said, when you start getting into these conversations, obviously, the legal folks start getting involved. And I think for all of us, we would like a little bit more structure in those areas to alleviate some of those issues.
Our next question comes over here on the left-hand side.
Hi, Haley Sawyer, SoCal News Group. Dan, this isn't the first time that Oregon's playing in Southern California this season. So what does it do for recruiting, just getting your product on the field in this region, attracting those SoCal recruits?
Yeah, for us, we challenge ourselves to make sure we can sign the best, across the nation. But certainly California is a hotbed for us in recruiting. It's a place that we want to make sure we have a stand, and we want to go get the best of the best. So getting to play in premier games like the Rose Bowl, I think that's things that, kids on the West Coast grow up dreaming of. And being here, having that opportunity is certainly something that's going to help us in recruiting.
You have a question on the far back right?
Yeah, Steve Hellwagon with Bucknuts 24/7 Sports. The first game you guys played, Oregon hit 8 chunk plays of 25 yards or longer. I guess I would just ask Coach Day, obviously the defense has played much better in the 7 games since then. What systems in place do you have to not allow that type of performance again? And then for Coach Lanning, kind of the chess match of taking what their adjustments are and still trying to hit those big plays.
Yeah, you want me to skip him the game plan now? Is that
Right.
what you want me
I was
do?
going to start taking
Sure.
notes if he starts.
So here's what we're going to do. Certainly coming out of that game, that was a huge part of the game. And I thought that, Coach Stein and everybody on their staff did a great job of, scheming up some plays to attack us and then they did a great job of executing them. I thought, the route running and the throwing and catching and protection, it all goes in together. And they did a great job of that in creating X plays. And that's, as we all know, a huge, factor in winning and losing games. And coming out of that game, we certainly recognize that. That was no secret. So we've worked hard to make adjustments in those areas. We know that we're going to see a lot of the same type of things coming into this game. I'm sure it's not going to be the same exact style, but they're still going to have those type of ways to attack us. So we got to do a great job of getting lined up. We got to do a great job of communicating, and then post snap, we got to run to the football and understand what's going on. Yeah,
and same on the other side of the ball, right? There were a lot of lead changes and score changes in the game last time. There was explosive plays on both sides. So the team that probably has the least explosives on their defense and the team that creates the most on their offense is probably going to have the most success.
Our next question comes from the middle left, right over here.
Luke Evans, Southern California News Group. Ryan and Dan, maybe hard to talk about or predict what the future is going to be with NIL and that concept. Where you look at where these two programs have come from in terms of how you build a roster in the modern era of collegiate football, how do you feel like both of your programs have kind of been on the forefront of that across this modern landscape?
Yeah, I would just say, from the day that I've gotten here at Oregon, I've always felt like Oregon's about innovation. I talked about adapting is a really important trait right now in college football, and being able to adjust on the fly. That's something that we're prepared to do as we continue to move forward. So I'm glad to be in a place that's on the forefront of that.
Yeah, I think, all programs want to make sure they're doing everything they can to, put the most talented roster together and talent acquisition. But we also have to continue to build our culture. And so, that starts in high school recruiting and then developing and retaining, those men who understand what it means to be in the program, and then adding pieces through the transfer portal. And that's how we look at it. And we need to do a great job of identifying those prospects and recruits that want to be at Ohio State, and then building those guys up so that in year 2, 3, and 4, they understand what it means, so that when adversity hits at some point, you stick together as a team and as a culture. So, that's been a big part of it. But also, we all know how fortunate we are to be at Ohio State, where, we have the resources to make sure the guys have what they need to want to stay at Ohio State. And for those who, want to join the group and fill holes that may be in the roster, that we have those resources as well.
Our next question comes from the back right.
Brady Ruth, Daily Emerald. In a game as big as this one, how do you guys balance talking about the importance of momentum and capturing it, but also responding when momentum's maybe not on your side?
Yeah, well, first off, you got to be in the moment. You got to create your own momentum, and, execution fuels emotion, and knowing that there's going to be a lot of back and forth, just like in the last game. There was a lot of back and forth in that game. You look at the way it started, the way it was in the middle, and the way it ended. And so understanding that we all have to have poise throughout the game, knowing that it's going to be a 4-quarter battle.
Yeah, ultimately, it is about execution over emotion, right? That's something we spend a lot of time talking about. And your ability to get to the next play is the most important play, right? Regardless of the result. So there'll be momentum swings in this game, just like there are in every game. But it's just that. It's just momentum, right? You have to have the ability to either break it or sustain it. And those are things that you try to train throughout the season and throughout practice.
Next question's on the left-hand side here.
Hi, guys. Ashley Adamson, Big Ten. I know it's hard to zoom out when you're so hyper-focused on the task at hand tomorrow, but I just wonder if you could, and think about all the people who have been instrumental in getting you to the stage that you're at today. Is there someone that you'd like to give a shout out to that you wouldn't be sitting here without?
How much time we got? Right. I mean, I'll just start with my wife, Sophia. I think anybody that has as a coach in this profession, realize that there really isn't balance. I've said that before. There isn't balance if you want to be great. You need great support structure around you. There's a lot of people that believed in me and gave me opportunities. I think there's unbelievable coaches across the country that certainly deserve and would do a fantastic job in this role that I get to sit in. So I don't take that for granted. I'm very blessed, but as blessed as anything to have the wife that I have at home taking care of those 3 boys. And I think they got to enjoy Disneyland yesterday. I think she really enjoyed it right around 8:30 a.m., but I think around 8 at night, she maybe was ready to get back home. So even though we had a long day of work, I know she was working her tail off there yesterday.
Yeah, same with me. It's about family. And when you talk about family, first off, it's Nina and the kids. I've known Nina my whole life. She's been with me since we've been 6 years old. So we've been through a lot together. And when it comes, to great moments in life, you got to hug the people you love the most and enjoy them. And when you go through difficult times, you hang on the best you can to the ones you love, and you just, you keep pushing forward, you keep moving forward. And so that's really the foundation, I think, of any coach. And, I'm very fortunate to have a family who's just very, very supportive. But then it quickly goes to the players. These are the guys who are on the field, and I think sometimes in football, the coaches get a lot of the attention, but ultimately this game is played by the players. And we have a great coaching staff and great support system in the Woody that pulls for each other. And so, again, as much as, the focus sometimes comes on the coach, it's about our players and about our coaches in that building and the work that they put in. And ultimately, it's about the team. So there's a lot of things along the way that allow us an opportunity to get to where we are, coaches, people in our lives. But ultimately, it comes down to family. Your family that's close to you in your house, and then also your football family.
We have another question on the right-hand side. Dennis Dodd?
Yeah, Dan, the way Tez Johnson told it yesterday was that Bo Nix brought him to you. What was that process? What did you know about him before he got here, and what has he added? Because he couldn't shut up yesterday.
Yeah, he likes having the mic in front of him, doesn't he? Tez has been unbelievable for our program. But yeah, Bo sat in my office and said, hey, I have this wideout that I think can really help us. I don't know if he told me at the time of his relationship, with Tez, but, once Tez entered the portal and we turned the film on, it was really clear that he was a player that could help us. And we've been unbelievably blessed to have him on our team. He's a real competitor. And that competitive spirit carries over to every single player on our team. So I know, he's one of those guys that grew up dreaming of being a guy that played at Oregon, right? He didn't get to go to the original Auburn-Oregon game because Bo was playing for Auburn, and Tez would have been wearing an Oregon jersey. So for him to get the opportunity to live out his dream and play here, it's been really rewarding to Tez, and it's certainly been rewarding to our program.
We have a question on the left-hand side.
Chris Lowe, ESPN. Both coaches. Ryan, you guys would have to play 17 games to win a title. Dan, 16. What's the wear and tear been on your all's team in a season that long? And what have you learned in trying to manage a team through a season that long and will continue to have to evolve going forward?
I feel like all things considered, we're as healthy and as, strong and as fresh as we've been all season. I think right now we're battle tested. I think we've built depth, and when we put the roster together, we knew that this was going to be the case, that we had to be strong and powerful late in the season and continue to build as the season's gone on. And although we've had some injuries in certain positions, I feel like right now we're playing as fast and as violent as we played all season. So there's a lot that goes into that. I won't get into all those types of things, but I do think as we continue to move forward in this format, it's something we all need to consider.
Yeah, I think it's for us, it's something you prepare for throughout the summer, knowing what the season could look like, right? And kind of having a 365-day plan of how do you want to prep for these moments. I'd have to give great kudos to our sports science staff, our training staff, our weight room staff. Very similar to Coach Day, our team is relatively healthy. Nobody feels great at this point in the season because of the time of season that you're in. But our players are, putting up some PRs in the weight room, are doing some unbelievable things at this point in the season. When you talk about going into game, 14 for these guys, I think that's, huge kudos to our staff and the job that they've done, making sure they stay fresh.
Another question on the right-hand side.
James Crepey with the Oregonian. Dan, was hoping for clarity given Bryce's importance to the team, to the program. Clarity on the waiver that you're seeking. Is it simply because the baseball clock is adversely impacting the football clock, or are there other grounds there?
Yeah, I won't really get into the details of it. I mean, like I said, we're day out from this game. I don't think that's where Bryce wants to focus. Certainly not for us either. But if there's an opportunity to have Bryce back, that would be great for him. He certainly deserves it, and he hasn't played 4 seasons of football here. I think he deserves that opportunity if it comes his way.
If you have a question, please raise your hand. You have one in the middle right there.
This is Tim May, Letterman Row, for Ryan. How much different do you feel now than you did the week leading up to the Tennessee game with all the talk, that was going on in Columbus, Ohio about you and your future and your team and stuff? What do you feel refreshed? What is the feeling you feel now going into this one?
Very similar, and hungry, focused. Every opportunity you get on the field is an opportunity to prove people right and prove people wrong, and that's just the approach of our team. And we were excited to get back on the field, but we're excited about playing in this game as well. A lot of football ahead of us, and that's really just been the focus. And you have to learn from what's gone on in the past, and if you don't, then you're going to repeat yourself. And so every week we have to learn, whether it's winning a game by 28. The issues are still on the field. You lose a game, you have to learn from what happened, and then you grow from there as the season's gone on. We're both here in the Rose Bowl, and along the way, there's twists and turns. You don't know how you're going to get to this point right here, but here we are, and an opportunity to play against a great team, and it's another opportunity for us to play Oregon again in the same season. So, we feel fortunate for that, for that to have happened. But the only way that was going to happen is if we won the last game, and if we want to continue to move on, we got to win this game right here.
Our next question comes from the second row.
Hi, Bria Maranthus, Oregon Ducks on Sports Illustrated for both of you guys. Tomorrow, I know a lot of people are looking forward to the sun setting on the Rose Bowl. I wonder if each of you have a moment you're looking forward to tomorrow?
Yeah, hopefully when that thing hits zero, the Ducks win. That would be the hope. I think it's really hard in our position, and certainly even for our players. You ask people to be in the moment, right? And I don't know that we ever get the opportunity to truly reflect on seasons, get the opportunity to really reflect on games. This is a game that everybody on our staff, every one of our team, every person on our team is really thrilled to be a part of. But there probably won't be a lot of chances to sit back and just soak in the moment. And that's okay, right? Because that's part of what makes it so special there at the end.
Yeah, agreed. When you're at the Rose Bowl, you're like on sensory overload. The grass is greener, the sky is bluer, the sun is more yellow. It's a beautiful setting. But once the foot hits the ball, it's time to go play. And anybody who knows playoff football, everything gets ratcheted up and the intensity just gets ratcheted up. And so, the electricity in that stadium tomorrow will be special.
Another question on the left-hand side. Just 1 second and we'll pass that mic.
Luke Evans, Southern California News Group. Brian, you said the other day that, bringing in Will, a transfer portal quarterback, wasn't typically kind of how Ohio State has done things in the past in terms of liking to bring, quarterbacks in and recruiting, develop them. Well, for both of you, what are the benefits and challenges that you guys have seen throughout the season of bringing in a portal quarterback from the seniority aspect, but also kind of integrating that into a roster that you guys hope will compete for a championship?
Yeah, let me first off say that I think Oregon's done a great job, with Bo and with also with Dylan bringing them in 1 year, in a short period of time, getting them acclimated to their offense and operating at a very, very high level. So, that's not something that just happens. It's something when you watch it, typically it takes a while for someone to get used to the new language, to get used to the, how you call things, how you do things. And so that's happened seamlessly. And that the big part of that is coaching. For us this year, we felt like it was the right thing to do for a lot of reasons. And we saw a winner in Will. We saw a leader, somebody who's won a lot of football games at Kansas State. And we felt like if he came in and understood how we did things on offense and surrounded him with the supporting cast that we have, that we had an opportunity to go make a run at this thing. And I think as the season's gone on, you've seen him grow week in and week out. But ultimately, it's going to come down to his leadership in this game.
Yeah, same thought. Anytime we look to add somebody to our program, we're looking not just to add what kind of player are we adding, but what kind of character. And we've been really fortunate to hit, in the portal and have some success. I think what that's done for our team, it's created unbelievable competition, not just at the quarterback position, but several positions. When you have competition, that brings out the best in everybody, right? Brings out the best in all of our team. And at this point in the season, too, like Coach Day alluded to earlier, it gives you the opportunity to have depth and be strong and have strength in numbers towards the end of the season. But Dylan's done an unbelievable job for us, just like Will has done for them. You talk about two great quarterbacks getting to battle it out on the field tomorrow. That's obviously really exciting.
We have time for one more question. Okay, without any additional questions, we're going to end today's press conference. Thank you to both Coach Day and Coach Lanning. We're going to do a photo op with the trophy. For all photographers, please stay seated. We're going to get